In 1950, he founded the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, BGEA, which remains dedicated to sharing the gospel through various media, events, and training programs. The BGEA also established the Billy Graham Library in Charlotte, North Carolina, offering visitors an immersive experience into Graham's life and method. The Billy Graham Library. Billy Graham's message centered on hope and salvation through Jesus Christ, emphasizing that God loves all of us and invites us to experience that love through his Son, Jesus Christ. His legacy continues through the ongoing work of the BGEA and the enduring impact of his sermons and writing. Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Ladies and gentlemen, we are often caught in the whirlwind of our desires, our ambitions, and the pressures of life. We set our sights on goals, and we eagerly anticipate the moment we can achieve them. But sometimes in the midst of our plans, we are met with a response from God that many of us struggle to embrace. Wait. This simple word, wait, can stir frustration, impatience, and doubt within our hearts. But let me assure you that it is not a denial of your dreams. It is a divine delay with a purpose. Today we will explore why waiting is not a passive act, but an active, profound process in our spiritual journey. We will uncover the significance of God's timing, the growth that happens in the wait, and the lessons we are meant to learn. When God says wait, it's a message that challenges our natural desire for instant results. Yet it's one of the most profound invitations in all our spiritual journey. In a world that thrives on immediacy, where fast food, instant messaging, and rapid solutions dominate our daily lives, being told to wait can feel like a punishment. However, waiting is not a passive act of stagnation. It is a dynamic and transformative process that involves preparation, growth, and the maturing of our character. When God tells us to wait, it is never without purpose. In fact, it is often the very thing that positions us for a greater blessing. One of the fundamental truths we must understand is that waiting is a process of preparation. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For that seed to grow into a strong, fruitful tree, it must first go through a process of root development. If the seed were to grow too quickly, it would lack the foundation it needs to sustain itself. The same is true in our lives. God understands that before he can give us the fullness of our dreams, we must first be prepared to handle them. Waiting is God's way of deepening our roots, ensuring that we are spiritually, emotionally, and mentally ready to bear the weight of the blessings he has in store for us. The first area of preparation during this time is the development of our character. Character is often formed in the quiet moments of waiting, when no one is watching, when no immediate reward is in sight. In these moments, we are faced with our weaknesses, our impatience, our doubts, our frustrations. It is in these times that God refines us, teaching us the virtues of patience, humility, and perseverance. Waiting allows us to see ourselves more clearly and confront the parts of our hearts and minds that need healing. God doesn't just want to give us a blessing. He wants to ensure that we are equipped to handle it with wisdom, maturity, and grace. Moreover, waiting forces us to confront the reality that we are not in control. We are often in a rush to dictate the terms of our lives, to map out the steps and timelines for our success. But God's timing is different. He sees the big picture, what we need, when we need it, and how we need it. The process of waiting teaches us to trust in his sovereignty, to acknowledge that our plans may not align with his greater purpose. During these waiting periods, we are learning the valuable lesson of surrender. We are learning to trust that God knows best, that his timing is perfect, and that he will not withhold anything good from us. This trust is not built overnight, but rather over time as we see God's faithfulness unfold in our lives, even in the most challenging seasons. Another critical aspect of waiting is that it teaches us the power of discipline. In our fast-paced world, we are often conditioned to expect quick results. However, true success and fulfillment are rarely immediate. They are the fruit of disciplined preparation. Waiting requires us to develop the ability to remain focused and consistent even when the desired outcome is not yet visible. It's about staying faithful to the process, continuing to do the right things even when the results are immediately evident. This discipline cultivates a steadfastness that will serve us well in the future, helping us remain grounded when the blessings we've longed for finally come to fruition. Finally, waiting prepares us to steward the blessings we desire. Every blessing that God gives us carries responsibility. When we rush ahead and try to seize what we want before it's time, we risk mishandling it. It's like a child trying to drive a car before they are old enough to understand how it works. The car may look appealing, but without the necessary skills and understanding, it can lead to destruction. Similarly, the blessings we desire, whether it's a new job, or relationship, or a ministry, require maturity and wisdom to manage them well. God knows this. He understands that when He blesses us, it is not just about giving us what we want. It is about entrusting us with something that has the potential to impact others. And this requires a level of preparedness that is often developed in the waiting. In conclusion, when God says wait, He is not denying us anything good. He is preparing us for what's ahead. He is strengthening us, refining our character, and developing in us the patience and discipline necessary to handle the blessings He has in store. Waiting is not a wasted time. It is an opportunity for growth and transformation. It is an invitation to trust, to surrender, and to align ourselves with God's perfect timing. So the next time you find yourself in a season of waiting, remember that God is at work and that He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. When God says wait, it can be one of the most difficult messages to receive, especially in a culture that values quick fixes and instant gratification. We live in a world where everything is designed to be faster, from microwave meals to instant messaging, and we often expect God to work on our terms, in our time. But God's ways are not like ours. When God says wait, it is not a sign of rejection or denial. It is, in fact, an invitation to a deeper process, a process of preparation, transformation, and trust. This waiting period is not about doing nothing. It is a crucial time of growing into the person God intends for us to be. The first significant truth about waiting is that it is a period of preparation. It is easy to focus on what we want in the moment, the promotion, the breakthrough, the recognition, and forget that the journey to those blessings requires preparation. In the same way that a seed planted in the ground must first develop roots before it can bear fruit, we too must go through a season of growth before we can carry the weight of our future blessing. Waiting is the soil in which we are planted, and it is where God works on our hearts, minds, and spirits, deepening our character and strengthening our faith. Just as a tree's roots anchored and allow it to grow tall and withstand storms, our waiting seasons are meant to ground us. The longer we wait, the stronger our roots become, and the more equipped we are to handle what's ahead. During these seasons of waiting, God prepares us by teaching us valuable lessons that can only be learned when we are in a holding pattern. God knows that sometimes we are not ready for the things we desire, and rushing to them could lead to our downfall. Without the proper foundation, the blessings we long for could overwhelm us. For example, consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. He was given a dream of greatness at a young age, but before he could step into the fulfillment of that dream, he had to endure years of hardship, betrayal, and imprisonment. His waiting was not a denial, but a process of preparation. Each trial he faced was part of God's plan to shape his character, teach him humility, and develop his leadership skill. Joseph's waiting was necessary for him to fulfill his purpose in the right way at the right time. The first important aspect of waiting is that it serves as a preparation process. When God asks us to wait, he is not denying us something good. Rather, he is preparing us for what is ahead. Often we have a vision for our future, whether it's a new job, a relationship, or a breakthrough in our personal lives. However, before we can fully step into those promises, we must be ready to handle them. Think of a tree that first grows deep roots before it can bear fruit. Similarly, during the waiting period, God works on developing our inner character, helping us to become strong enough to bear the weight of the blessings he wants to give us. Without preparation, we risk receiving things that we are not ready to manage or that could overwhelm us. It is in these times of waiting that God refines us, teaching us patience, humility, and perseverance. Just like a goldsmith refines gold by putting it through fire, God uses our waiting periods to refine our character, remove impurities, and make us more like Christ. Waiting also allows us to grow in wisdom. Sometimes we may think we know what's best for us, but God's understanding is far beyond our own. His perspective encompasses not only our desires, but also what will truly bring us fulfillment and purpose. The waiting period is a time for us to develop discernment and learn to trust his wisdom. As we wait, we are often forced to confront our desires and motivations. Are we seeking something out of impatience, fear, or insecurity? Or are we genuinely trusting that God's timing is perfect, knowing that he has something even better for us than we could ever imagine? In this process, we learn to prioritize God's will over our own plans, submitting to his greater purpose for our lives. Waiting becomes an opportunity for us to surrender our agendas and trust that God knows what is best for us at the right time. Another key element in the waiting process is the lesson of trusting in God's timing. As humans, we often want things to happen quickly. We want to be in control of when and how our dreams come true. But God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own. It's easy to feel frustrated or discouraged when the answers to our prayers and that he will never withhold something good from us. This trust is a fundamental aspect of faith, and it's through waiting that our trust in God is deepened. We learn that even in seasons of silence or delay, God is actively working to bring his promises to fruition in ways that are beyond our understanding. Waiting is also a time to cultivate discipline and perseverance. In today's fast-pacing world, we are conditioned to expect instant. We see others achieving their goals, and we may feel left behind. However, timidly, waiting teaches us that God's timing is not only perfect, but also for our good. His plan is unfolding at the right pace for our development, and we must trust that he is working behind the scenes, that every step we take is part of the journey. Discipline is not just about pushing through difficulties, but also about maintaining focus and faith in God's plan, even when it seems delayed. As we wait, we learn the importance of staying faithful, even when we do not yet see the fruits of our labor. The discipline to stay steady and consistent in the waiting process will serve us well when the blessings finally come to pass. In conclusion, when God says wait, it is not a sign of rejection. It is an invitation to be prepared for something greater. Waiting is a time of preparation, growth, trust, discipline, and contentment. It is through waiting that we learn to develop our character, trust in God's timing, and persevere in the face of challenges. Ultimately, the waiting process equips us to handle the blessings God has in store for us, ensuring that we are ready to receive them with gratitude and wisdom. Trust in the process, trust in God's perfect timing, and know that the best is yet to come. When God says wait, it can be one of the most challenging things to hear. In a world that thrives on immediacy and instant results, the concept of waiting feels almost foreign. However, God's call to wait is not an indication of denial, but rather an invitation to grow, prepare, and align ourselves with His perfect plan. While the world encourages quick fixes and instant gratification, God's timing is perfect and always intentional. Through waiting, He teaches us some of life's most profound lessons. Waiting isn't about passively sitting idly by. It's a dynamic and intentional process that shapes us for the purpose He has for us. The first important aspect of waiting is the preparation it requires. When God asks us to wait, it is not a punishment or a denial of our desires. Rather, it is a period of preparation. Think of a seed that is planted in the ground. In order to grow into a strong tree that bears fruit, it must first develop deep roots. The seed must be buried in the soil, unseen, before it can sprout. Similarly, during the waiting period, God works on our character, our faith, and our ability to handle the blessings that He intends for us. Without this preparation, we would risk receiving blessings that we are not yet equipped to manage. The waiting period is a time where God builds us from the inside out, strengthening our character and refining our hearts to ensure that when the time comes, we are fully prepared for the responsibilities that come with the blessing. This preparation goes beyond just physical or external readiness. It is a spiritual and emotional preparation as well. God uses the waiting period to cultivate patience, resilience, and trust in His timing. It's easy to become discouraged during these times, especially when we don't immediately see the results of our prayers or desire. Yet, these seasons of waiting provide a crucial opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with God, one that is based on trust rather than simply getting what we want. As we wait, we are forced to confront our impatience, fear, and desire for control. Through this process, God refines our character and teaches us the true meaning of dependence on Him. Another key aspect of waiting is that it teaches us to trust in God's perfect timing. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to rush and get things done quickly. But God's timing is often very different from our own. When God tells us to wait, it is an invitation to trust that He sees the bigger picture and that His timing is always perfect. It can be difficult to understand why things are delayed or why our prayers seem unanswered, but we must trust that God knows what is best for us and that He is working behind the scenes. Sometimes what we desire isn't aligned with God's greater purpose for us, or we may not be fully prepared to handle what He wants to give us. Waiting teaches us to surrender our timelines and trust that God's way is the best way. This trust isn't built overnight, but rather through experience. As we wait and see God's faithfulness unfold in our lives, each waiting period serves as a reminder that God is in control and His timing is never late. In addition to teaching us trust, waiting also strengthens our faith. Faith is not simply about believing in God when things are going well, but trusting Him in the midst of uncertainty, delays, and discomfort. Waiting is often a time when our faith is tested, stretched, and refined. When we don't see immediate results or answers, it can be easy to become disheartened or begin doubting God's goodness. However, it is during these times that our faith is strengthened, as we learn to rely on God and not on our own understanding or efforts. Waiting forces us to take our eyes off our circumstances and fix them on God, trusting that He is refined through fire. Our faith is refined through the trials and waiting periods of life. This strengthened faith enables us to handle future challenges and blessings with a deeper reliance on God. Moreover, waiting teaches us discipline and perseverance. In a world where everything is available instantly, waiting becomes an exercise in developing discipline and learning to persevere despite setbacks and delays. True success, fulfillment, and lasting blessings come not from quick fixes, but from the willingness to stay the course and continue doing the right things, even when the outcome seems far off. Waiting teaches us to remain steadfast, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward, even when we don't see immediate results. It cultivates perseverance, the ability to endure through difficult times, and discipline, the ability to stay focused and faithful despite challenges. The lessons of discipline and perseverance learned during the waiting period will serve us well in all aspects of life. Lastly, waiting fosters contentment. It's easy to look around and feel discontent when we see others achieving their goals and moving ahead while we seem to be stuck in a holding pattern. But waiting teaches us the value of contentment, of finding peace in the present moment. Contentment is not about resignation or passivity, but about trusting that God is in control and that His timing is perfect. It is recognizing that while we may not have everything we desire right now, God is working on our behalf and preparing something better for us. Contentment also teaches us to be grateful for what we have in the present rather than constantly striving for what we don't yet have. It's a mindset that shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already possess in Christ. As we learn to be content in the waiting, we find peace and joy that transcends circumstances. In conclusion, when God says wait, He is not withholding something good from us. He is preparing us for the future He has already planned for us. Waiting is a time of preparation, trust, discipline, and contentment. Through waiting, God strengthens our character, deepens our faith, and teaches us to trust in His perfect timing. It's during these waiting seasons that we grow, learn, and mature into the person God has called us to be. Trust the process. Surrender your timeline, and remember that in the waiting, God is at work shaping you for something greater. The best is yet to come. As we conclude today, remember that when God says, wait, it is not a punishment, it is an invitation to become everything you were designed to be. It is a moment for you to trust, to grow, and to prepare for the greater things He has in store for you. In the waiting, He is working. In the waiting, He is teaching you to trust His perfect timing. So embrace the wait. It is not the end. It is the beginning of something greater.